Hi everyone, how's it going? We are back with another one of our Netrunner quizzes. However, I do have to apologize in advance for this one because it will appeal to a more niche subset of my viewers. Not everyone will appreciate this kind of quiz, and for that, yeah, I do apologize in advance because we are gonna play Guess the Deck. How this works is that I'm going to show you a deck list with IDs and card names blanked out. These deck lists are taken from top tier tournaments, top finishers at said top tier tournaments. So, some knowledge of the competitive Netrunner scene in the previous years will be very, very helpful, if not essential, to doing well in this quiz. Here's an example of a blanked out deck list. You can see that the ID is missing and you don't know what the cards are. You can kind of guess. There are various hints in the deck list, such as influence pips and card quantities. I'll leave you to explore that. And your job here is to name the outline card. In this case, the one influence purple card that is an asset. It's one influence because there are 3 copies of it and it costs 3 purple influence. So the answer here is that it is team sponsorship. Now, some of you might even recognize the deck itself. This is the deck that won the most recent Worlds, Magnum Opus 2018, won by America CTM. So if you are a competitive Netrunner player or you are, in tune with the competitive Netrunner scene, I have an additional challenge for you. In addition to naming the outline card or cards, I would like you to also attempt to name the deck or archetype. Right? Examples of deck names include Astrobiotics, Prepaid Kate, and in the previous example, you could have told me America CTM, Tempo CTM, or even something very generic like a CTM deck that tries to win with AR enhanced security scoring, and hard hitting use for Tempo, that sort of thing. I don't need an exact name, as long as you have the correct deck and or idea in mind, I'm more than happy to give you a correct answer. And that's all there is to the game, really. There's just only going to be 4 questions, as this can be a very tricky quiz, and also because of that, I will not enforce a time limit. Pause the video and play at your own pace. Unpause the video when you have an answer or when you're stumped, because answers will be reviewed as we go along with each question. With all that out of the way, let's begin the guess the deck game with our first question. Pause the video now to have a think about it. Otherwise, I will reveal the answer in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so this is Moon's ETF. You can call it Moonanites. It's not technically Moonanites, but I'll give it to you anyway. This is the Moon's ETF deck that dominated the competitive scene at the onset of Terminal Directive, because the Terminal Directive big box gave us a pretty bonkers card in Estelle Moon. Go look it up if you're not familiar with it. That card, as soon as competitive players saw it, they were like, wow, this card is nuts, right? The ability to, it's a powerhouse economy and draw engine in and by itself, and it is tutorable by Tech Startup, which you notice is also a 3-off in this deck. So you can very reliably get your Estelle Moons going, and it's a very low risk economy card because even though it's a trashable asset, the payoff when you get the burst money and card draw is a paid ability. So the runner running on Estelle Moon and trashing Estelle Moon is not going to help because the corp can easily cash it in as soon as the runner tries to contest it. This made for a very powerful card draw and money engine, and as you know, if you have good card draw and good money, you'll probably win games, and that's where the agenda suite comes in. The 3-off Project Vitruvius, a very staple agenda in most HB decks, but also successful field tests. This agenda single-handedly synergizes with Estelle Moon so well because it allows you to install all the cards that you have drawn with your powerhouse Estelle Moon and gain a huge board advantage because of it. So that's basically how the deck worked. You charge up your Estelle Moon, you get it to a ridiculous number of counters, and then you cash it in with a very big successful field test that just secures you the game win. It doesn't help that even though there were good asset control mechanisms on the runner side, like Wizard, HB had Friends in High Places, another bonkers card that allowed you to recur your assets even though they were trashed. So this made for a very powerful deck, and there's a reason why Friends in High Places and Estelle Moon have eventually landed up on the ban list and later on rotated from Terminal Directive. Right, we now move on to question 2. Pause the video, otherwise we'll begin in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so this answer is Hate Bear, although you can call it Siphon Wizard, etc. This is the Siphon Wizard build that dominated the 2016 Worlds Championship. Because for that World Championship, many competitive players all converged on CTM, Tempo CTM, as the deck of choice for the co-op side. And that was a very powerful deck because in that specific metagame, the Worlds metagame, you had the power tagging tools of Hard Hitting News and CTM, a deadly duo, but no answers on the runner side. Aaron Marone was not yet released. So, runners very much struggled to get a foothold against CTM and often ended up the games tagged, which inevitably led to the runner's loss. So that's where Hate Bear comes in, because it was a wonderful piece of tech. The entire deck was tagged against CTM. Instead of trying to shake those tags, it embraced those tags, going full on tag me with Account Siphon, a card that gives you tags and increases recurable with Deja Vu and Same Old Things, cards that were legal back in the day. And it managed to leverage on these tags to its advantage because of its hardware, which is Obelisk. That's the answer for this question. Obelisk gives you more card draw the more tagged you are, because or rather I should say more hand size with the number of tags you have, which is a very powerful property because you get a lot of card draw when you combine Obelisk with another card, which is Medium. The ability to multi-access into a multi-card draw is a very powerful card draw engine, and together with the strong economy engine and denial engine that's Account Siphon, as we all know, strong economy and strong draw typically wins you games, and this deck is no exception. And it wasn't surprising then that this was, indisputably the best runner deck of 2016 Worlds, because it perfectly countered the CTM meta. Right, now we'll move on to question 3. Here it is. What is that Wayland card that is a one-off asset? Revealing the answer in 3, 2, 1. Alright, yep, this is everyone's favorite or most hated deck, depending on how much you like combo decks. This is Brain Rewiring CI from another relic of the Terminal Directive days. So Brain Rewiring was a crazy agenda that allowed you to basically leave the runner at with one card in hand, which is pretty useless until you consider the possibility of then dealing 2 damage to the runner and making a very easy flatline. There are no counter cards to Brain Rewiring in the card pool on the runner side pretty much. As such, it was a very powerful combo enabler for the flatline kill in a combo deck that is Cerebral Imaging. So the way you deliver the killing blow, the damage, is actually the answer to this question. Contract Killer was very much worth every single one of its 4 influence pips. Expensive splash, but totally worth it because it delivers the 2 meat damage needed to finish off the runner when they were only on 1 hand size. So the combo obviously is you score the Brain Rewiring, then you res your Contract Killer, and then click and shoot the runner dead, point blank. But that was not the only way the deck could kill the runner. It was also running 2 copies of Show of Force, another card I should say, that also deals 2 meat damage on the runner's turn. The corpse turn. So that's how the Brain Rewiring CI deck functions. That's the core win condition of the deck, and it was very powerful because with the clearances, this deck runs all 3 copies of Ultraviolet and Violet level clearance. Ultraviolet, obviously, another clearance that was introduced in the broken set that was Terminal Directive. So, giving Cerebral Imaging the critical mass of card draw it needed to accelerate, finding its combo pieces and to eventually deliver the killing blow. Once again, a very common theme in all these competitive competitive decks, I should say, is that they all feature very strong card draw and money engines. Violet level clearance and ultraviolet clearances, all very strong enablers, allowing you to find those, even that one-off contract killer or one of your 3 brain rewiring that much more quickly, which enables you to kill the runner before they can steal 7 agenda points. Now, we move on to the 4th question. Here it is. Name me the one-off red card that is a resource. Alright, fine, it's orange, it's Anarch. Answer in 3, 2, 1. Right, this is none other than the infamous diaper deck, piloted, or rather, it's the brainchild of Rotich and it ended up making top 16 at Worlds 2016 as well. This is a very niche deck. How do I even begin? Well, Diaper was a portmanteau of DDoS and Hyperdriver. The former, DDoS, of course, being the answer to this question. The one-off 3 influence Anarch card that's a resource is DDoS. And the way this deck works is with the DDoS False Echo combo. This was a combo that was legal until False Echo rotated out with rotation. So what happens is you pop the DDoS. This means that the corp cannot res the outermost ice on all the servers. Then you make a run on the server. They can't res the outermost ice. So you pass it and then you use False Echo to force the corp to return that outermost ice into the hand. Now, by doing so, you then expose the next ice on that server, which becomes an outermost ice as well, because it used to be the second outermost ice, but the outermost ice has just been returned to the corp's hand. So now it's the outermost ice, and it's now subject to DDoS as well. So you keep repeating this process for as many times as you have false echoes, or as many times as the corp has ice, and this basically allows you to completely crumble a server of ice. Because every ice will be considered the outermost ice as the runner runs through the server. And that allows you to completely clean up the ice on the server. It's a very, very unorthodox way of dealing with ice, but it works so effectively because very few competitive corp decks had the ability to res ice outside of normal runner runs. And by clearing ice, this diaper deck then manages to accumulate a vast number of clicks with Hyperdriver and other click gaining cards to close out the game before the corp got to play their next turn. Because once the corp gets the next turn, they will be able to reinstall the ice that has been bounced back with False Echo. In this case, this deck uses Keyhole as a way to mill the corp by draining them all their cards in R&D. So with enough clicks, you are able to use Keyhole that many times and remove all the cards from the corp's deck, and they lose the game as soon as the corp begins to attempt to start the next turn with their mandatory draw. This was a deck that many players were not prepared for at Worlds 2016 and was a big factor to Rotage's success, bringing it to the top 16 there. Right, so hopefully you enjoyed this walkthrough history. I know it was a pretty tough quiz, especially for those of you who are not in tune with the competitive scene, but I hope you at least enjoyed the quiz and have at least learned a thing or two about the days of old. And I think you can also see some common points among all the top tier decks back in the day: strong economy engines, strong draw engines, and some very niche win conditions as well. I think if there's one thing I want to say, is that after looking at all these top tier decks, especially the more degenerate ones, I can definitely agree with Nisei's decision to rotate Terminal Directive out of the legal card pool altogether, or at least the standard card pool. It seems like there was a lot of nasty stuff in there that made for not runner more than Netrunner, and I'm kind of happy that the meta is at least now in a better place than back then. So yep, hope you agree as well. Well, how do you do on the quiz? Comment in the comment section and let everyone know. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching. Happy net running. I'll see you next time.